Before I begin, may we please recognize our veterans that are with us. So the spouses and families and veterans, would you please stand so we can welcome you? I'm pretty sure we have some Red Star moms here and Gold Star. Would you please stand for that? Good morning, everyone. My name is Sharon Ledbetter. I have been a volunteer with the Quilts of Valor Foundation since 2005. During the past 14 years, I formed and led the Lewis Clark Quilts of Valor group in Idaho, served as Idaho State Coordinator, and then served as Assistant Executive Director for the Foundation 2013 to 2015. These lawyers decide what is appropriate, what can or cannot be done, and determine the standards of conduct as it relates to individuals serving in the military. Personal awards do not have a monetary value attached. Similarly, using basic criteria, a Quilt of Valor is awarded to our service members to say thank you for your service and sacrifice. Recipients are nominated based upon the merits of their selfless service and sacrifice in defense of our nation. A Quilt of Valor is not a gift. It was earned in every sense of the word. A Quilt of Valor is our civilian award. By understanding the terminology, we keep JAG happy, but more importantly, we follow Catherine's vision and instruction to award our Quilts of Valor. Defined by our core values, our recipient should always be the center of attention. Never should the main thrust of our address be our quilts, how hard we work, or how much money we spend on them. How hard we work is nothing when we remember what our recipient went through to preserve our freedom. How much money we spend is nothing compared to the sacrifice of the individuals we honor. They owe us nothing. We owe them everything. An award ceremony is never about us. We need to take the I, me, and we out of the equation and insert the focus on the awardee. The quilt is how we bring comfort and healing. It would do us good to remember the words of my friend Mike, a Vietnam veteran with 3 Purple Hearts. It took him 3 years and staying just a wee bit too late at the local watering hole to finally ask me if I still had his blankie. Following his award, he wrote to the foundation, and I quote, "Nearly every veteran has faced that 5% of their service in sheer terror. What the QOV group does is to balance this with love, a welcome home, and understanding that people that serve are still hurting. In your powerful way, you have to validate, exonerate, and forgive. That, ladies and gentlemen, is our sole purpose. Heart to heart, I thank you for your service. I validate your experience without judgment, and I offer comfort, peace, and healing." Before I address the 4 different types of award ceremonies, I would like to address the similarities. It is up to each of us making the award to make each and every recipient feel important with imparting our message. Who is the Quilt of Valor for? You, the men and women who took the oath of service, payable with my life if necessary. What is a Quilt of Valor? It is our civilian award to you in gratitude from all of our citizens for your service. And why are we making the Civilian Award? To personally thank you for your sacrifice to protect our freedoms and defend. We should also remind all present, that while we always remember those killed in action and those still missing in action, a quilt of valor is for the living. Let your recipients feel your heart and not just your words. It validates what they feel each and every day. I am of the belief that requesting donations, how much a quilt of valor costs, how hard we work as a group, who, what, or where we receive our donations, has no place in an award ceremony. Any group requires a pantsuit, slacks, blouse, or a collar polo, a skirt or dress. T-shirts and jeans are inappropriate, including tees with the group name. Always wear your Quilt of Valor badge. Dressing up is a sign of respect to our awardees and for our foundation. Individual and hospice awards could warrant more casual attire. Occasionally, we may be asked to join a family gathering. Is it a picnic or is it a formal event? Each requires a different dress code. And FYI, because it's a picnic doesn't mean you show up in short shorts and a halter top. The bottom line, it'll be pretty ugly besides. So the bottom line is we dress appropriately with respect to our recipient, and we wear our Quilt of Valor name badge. Our words of award remain the same. Look your recipients in the eyes. These are not just words written on a piece of paper, but words which we should speak from our heart. Understand and speak them with fervor. On behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, we serve honor and comfort upon you. Though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, as a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, we award you a Quilt of Valor. These words were first spoken by Colonel John Kellerson when he awarded Catherine's first Quilt of Valor. Yes, some days those words just stick in my throat and I have a tough time. But it is an acknowledgement, honesty, and compassion for the recipient and what they have endured. Speak them from your heart and with meaning. In preparing for an award ceremony, unless the recipient has given his or her permission, it is not our decision, nor should we share their service. Remember, this is not about us. Our recipient and their feelings always come first. I like to give our recipient the opportunity to share a few words following the ceremony, but only if they wish. When I first began awarding Quilts of Valor, I was not aware of how important the wrap is. Again, it took my friend Mike to enlighten me. Through his tears, he asked, "Aren't you going to wrap me?" Such a simple gesture. Wrapping a quilt around someone's shoulders offers comfort and healing all at the same time. Followed with a hug, it provides a sense of well-being and love. It is what we have to offer. The hug we share with our recipients should always be genuine. Have you ever shaken hands with somebody and you got the limp hand back? It makes you feel unimportant and intrusive. It is a firm handshake that welcomes you. The same is true with a hug. A healthy hug says, I care. Make it memorable. You, of course, will always want to ask first because you never know when it might trigger intense emotions. Some are completely unexpected. Be sensitive and let them feel your heart and your love. I cannot stress enough the importance of the written document right here. Beginning a couple of months prior to your award ceremony, this is one of the most important addresses that you make on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation. There is a threefold purpose for the written. First, an audience can miss the message and become confused when the speaker is stumbling around looking for words. They end up becoming very disengaged. Some of us find ourselves comfy in front of an audience, and some are terrified. The document helps you retain your composure. It keeps you focused and is more professional in delivery. Facts are written and readily available to share. Talking just to hear yourself talk usually generates misinformation and what I like to call nonsense. Many times you may have the opportunity of having media present. I discovered a long time ago, if I hand them a copy of my address, they do a better job of quoting me correctly. Sometimes. Our words are important, so we need to get it right and need to be clear to share it with those in our presence. So plan to have at least one copy with you. And last but not least, practice, practice, practice. The more you practice, the more comfortable you become with your address. Sandy Lynn, I would like to talk about preparing your quilts for an award. How many of you have fumbled when trying to wrap a quilt around a recipient, especially a quilt with a directional pattern? It is embarrassing and certainly not professional watching folks struggle with a quilt. There are several ways to fold a quilt so that it unfolds smartly. My preferred method is to fold the quilt from bottom to the top with the top front side out. Then fold it once again, bottom to the top. For group awards, I like to request a table and lay the quilts across the table in order that they will be awarded. If you don't have a table, I improvise with a small clothespin or that little white bulldog clip so that you always know where the top is when you're picking it up. This is so important with directional quilts. They are easily removed, those little clips, when the quilt is opened. So go ahead and open. To wrap the recipient, follow from the top of the quilt to the center and fold it in half, wrong sides together. Wrap the quilt, folded edge around the neck and over the recipient. Okay, thank you, ladies. There are 4 distinct types of Quilts of Valor ceremonies. The large groups of more than 20 or smaller groups less than 20 awardees present a challenge because they can be very, very impersonal. The large groups are often returning warrior workshops. These are sometimes called yellow ribbon reintegration programs. Each branch of the armed forces has their own specific program. In essence, it is a debriefing for the military members, services available to them, job opportunities, and help for the families. Awarding Quilts of Valor is only a part of the event and not the main purpose of the event. Small groups are usually the ones that are planned by your local QOB group or maybe some of your local veterans groups. As a brand new coordinator, Kathleen Roberts asked if I would do an award ceremony at one of the Returning Warrior events in Spokane, Washington. The Navy wanted me to set up in the hallway with the vendors and pass out quilts. Well, Catherine backed me up. Either we were able to share our message with the recipients or we would respectfully decline. There were 40 Quilts of Valor, folded and laid neatly on long tables. Following my address, I informed the recipients that they would be able to choose the quilt that spoke to them, but only after they received my hug. The 40 hugs, the tears spilled on my shoulder, the private whispers shared only with me still linger to this day. They changed me and my understanding of the quilt. The recipient made it to the venue, but was too overcome with emotion to make it inside. Individual awards are critical and necessary in these situations. This can often be the perfect time for families to gather and honor their veteran. It might just offer the much-needed open line of communication between the recipient and their families. I was asked to attend a 50th wedding anniversary dinner. As Everett stood beside me, listening to the words of award, his tears began to flow. His children and grandchildren were dumbstruck. He shared with them that the American flag, which we saluted before the award, was the one he brought back from Vietnam. It had been carefully laid in his ward trunk upon returning. So long ago shut, he retrieved it for this special occasion. He said that night he felt vindicated. In the following days, Everett shared with me that he had spent time with his family, going through the trunk, sharing memorabilia and stories. The healing he didn't think he needed had begun. On another occasion, I was contacted by the local Marine Corps lady. These were the days prior to my involvement with hospice. One of their members was dying. Did I have a QOB and could I accompany them? I am proud to say I was picked up by 5 Marines and 4 Navy veterans, all dressed to the hilt. It was important to them to honor one of their own with a Quilt of Valor. After awarding Roger his quilt, the discussion turned to Vietnam. I stepped back against the wall. It was a privilege to have been considered safe enough to hear what I heard. Once again, I was changed by the experience. You may remember seeing Roger's picture posted on Facebook, holding his Quilt of Valor and giving a final salute to his comrades. With individual awards, there may be less of a need to for an overview of Quilt of Valor in an address. My Lewis Clark Quilt of Valor group has chosen to draft a mini address rather than a certificate. We find the recipient can fully appreciate the message in the quiet of their home. It is our words of award, said from our hearts to theirs, that say it all. These are the times and the awards when it is time to open your ears and listen. You might be the open door to let the healing begin. Listening can be more powerful and healing than talking. After all, this is their story, not ours. Someone once said to me, it must be awful to have to award a Quilt of Valor to someone in hospice. My answer then and now, awarding a Quilt of Valor to a veteran in hospice is an honor and a privilege. I have also been told it is a waste of time and fabric to award a Quilt of Valor to someone who is dying. Get a grip, my friends. We are all dying. We just don't have our expiration date yet. Not everyone is cut out to make these awards, and I understand. In most cases, you need to go through a hospice training program to be part of the team. For some of the individuals, the words of award and the wrapping of the quilt, along with a hug, grant them the peace they need to continue their journey. And yes, even folks in a coma or unconscious still have their sense of hearing and touch. The Vietnam veteran struggling in his final days, the hand that reached out and so tenderly grasped the corner of the quilt, holding it to his chest. With tears running down his cheeks, he said, I didn't think I was worthy of one of these. He passed peacefully, covered in his Quilt of Valor, which brought him comfort in his final hours. Just remember, if you are awarding a hospice patient, you may not take pictures to share with anyone. You may not share the name of the recipient. HIPAA, which is the Health Care Privacy Rules, apply with all hospice patients. If the family wishes to take pictures and post it on Facebook, that's their prerogative. Do not, under any circumstances, share any of their information with anyone, including your group. Do not post pictures on Facebook. The goal of veterans work is to rehabilitate, restore veterans who are in or entering the justice system, returning them to an active, contributing member of their community. Issues that are commonly addressed in these treatment programs include post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, anger issues, domestic violence, alcohol and/or drug abuse. Many courts request a local Quilt of Valor group to be a part of their graduation ceremony. A recent graduate shared with me that the program and the Quilt of Valor that he received had dramatically changed his life for the better. In preparing for today, I was contacted by several people who had concerns and or issues which they have experienced. So I have agreed to touch on 3 of them. I was recently asked about awarding Quilts of Valor on Memorial Day. I wish to make this clear, this is not QOB policy, but in my estimation, it is common sense and sensitivity. There are several days each year which we recognize our veterans and service members. Armed Forces Day honors those who are actively serving. Veterans Day honors those who have served. And Memorial Day remembers those who died while serving. While Memorial Day recognizes those individuals who paid the ultimate price, We, the Quilts of Valor Foundation, offer comfort and healing to our living veterans. Many who serve in this organization have lost a child, family, friend, or loved ones as a price of war. When asked to award on this day of remembrance, I always respectfully decline, asking if I might do so the day before or the day following. Keith Whiteman, father of Brett Whiteman, one of the fallen depicted on the Ice of Freedom's panels, shared with me that the biggest fear of a parent who have lost a child is that they will be forgotten. Reserve this one day for which it is intended, remembering the fallen. There have been some horrible experiences when making surprise awards. It is always prudent to ask if the recipient is in an emotional position to accept the award. We should never plan a surprise without family approval. A surprise award can generate some real unexpected emotions. I recently received a phone call from a family member who requested the quilt be out of their possession. Her husband could not bear the sight of it. He felt unworthy. We should never force a quilt on an individual, but only to a willing individual. Remember, this is not about us. This is always about them. If we only have a heart, we only want the best for our recipient. And sometimes that is no quilt at all. Remember Mike, it took me 3 years. And the last thing I wish to address is a quilt in a box. Everybody know the term quilt in a box. In my 14 years and having awarded approximately 2,000 quilts, I have found it necessary to send a quilt in a box on 4 occasions. The quilt did not leave my possession until the award process was in place ahead of time. Directions to the recipient were to call me immediately when the box arrived and before opening it. One such award was made to Al Sutap in Texas. Some of you may remember the FaceTime on Facebook. As I spoke the words of award, his wife opened the quilt and wrapped him. It was meaningful, heart to heart, and an experience we both remember. Today, I have asked Lacey Spurgeon to join us on stage. Lacey is a disabled veteran from Waseem, Ohio. No effort was made to touch her heart. No personal contact to thank her for her service. I have asked Annie Reynolds, her business partner, and Mike Straley to please, Eyes of Freedom, to please escort Lacey to the podium with the quilt she received. Mike? Lacey, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, we serve honor and comfort upon you, though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America. As a gesture of gratitude, today we award you your Quilt of Valor. Welcome home and thank you for your service.
see if I can get this out. When I came home for the first time, I struggled. It took me 5 years to realize that I am worth everything that I have done and sacrificed to serve our country and protect all of you. It's taken me a really long time to understand that just because I wasn't in combat doesn't mean that I didn't deserve to be honored and get this quilt. I didn't actually expect to cry, but getting in the beginning when I first got the box, I was excited because it surprised me. I didn't know it was coming, and I was excited. I loved it. I hung it up, and didn't think another word about it. And then I talked to this lady. I never met her. I talked to her on the phone. We, messaged through email and everything, and she was appalled, and I was surprised, taken aback. And when she asked me to come here, I hesitated. I'm not very good up on a stage in front of a bunch of people, even though I went to school for teaching. I could do it in front of little kids and 8th graders, but it was hard for me in front of a bunch of adults. But when I talked to my business partner, Annie, and she's not just my business partner, she's a great friend, she said, do it. And so I'm here. And I want to thank Sharon so much for this opportunity. And I want to thank Mike and Sean. You guys have been amazing. I met them through the Eyes of Freedom when they came to Wasia. And I've told Sean so much about my story that I had not told anybody. And I'm just very glad and thankful that I've met you and was able to be there for me. And thank Annie and my mother. My mother's been my rock since I got home. She's been my caretaker. She's a nurse, and she took care of my stepdad too, that was a veteran before he passed, and I wouldn't be here without her. But I also want to thank you guys. Every single one of you is doing service to your country as well. And you may not think that that's a true statement, but it really is. You guys are helping our veterans, and that's one thing that I've tried to do ever since I came out of my funk and realized that quilting can be a therapy. I use it as an alternative therapy to any kind of therapy with a person talking to you. I still go see counselors, but quilting gets me out of my head, and I wanted to share that with other veterans. And you are also helping veterans realize that they're worthy. And there are many, many, many veterans that will never ask for help. And by you doing this, and by being wrapped with a quilt, you will never understand what these veterans feel. And I want to thank you, and I really appreciate everything you do. And that's
Good morning to our veterans. Oops, I'm going to turn this around so I can look to you because you're the ones that we honor today. We welcome you and your families. It is humbling to stand before you, men who sacrifice so much that we might enjoy the freedoms we have today. We are honored, privileged, and indebted to both of you. From our hearts to yours, thank you for your service and sacrifice. My name is Sharon Ledbetter. I am the wife and sister-in-law of Vietnam Air Force veterans. I am the cousin of Donald Warren Hart, United States Army medic, born 12 September 1945 and died 31 July 1967. His name and many like his are forever engraved on the wall. The mission of the Quilts of Valor Foundation is to serve honor and comfort to service members and veterans touched by war. With a son stationed in Iraq, our founder, Kathleen Roberts, dreamt of a young man surrounded by war demons in the middle of the night. Her next vision was a young man wrapped in a quilt and his demeanor changing to one of comfort and peace. Thus began the journey of Quilts for Soldiers, now known as the Quilts of Valor Foundation. Catherine's first Quilt of Valor was delivered to Walter Reed Hospital in October of 2003 by Colonel John Kellerson. The words he spoke then are the words we use now when we award our quilts. The quilt we award you today will join over 226,000 Quilts of Valor awarded worldwide. A Quilt of Valor is a lifetime award. It is not a blanket. A blanket is a single layer of fabric. A quilt consists of 3 layers. I like to think of them in these terms. The top of the quilt consists of many pieces, colors, shapes, and sizes, which represent to me the many faces of all who serve in the armed forces. The center quilt consists of the batting, the part of the quilt that emits its warmth. Held between the layers, it represents the comfort and healing we offer you. The back of the quilt is its strength. Together with the thousands of stitches, they represent you, your families, and our communities, all coming together in support of one another. The quilt represents the gratitude of all of our citizens for your service and sacrifice. We offer them as a tangible civilian award to thank you for the protection of our freedoms. A Quilt of Valor is priceless. It can never be bought, it can never be sold, and it is never a gift. No, as we are stitching, we are remembering the sacrifice you made for all of us. It is a quilt which comes from the heart, the hands, and indeed sometimes the tears of the makers. No two are alike. What is the same is the love that is quilted within each quilt. This morning, it is our honor to award you each your Quilt of Valor. While we always remember those killed in action and those still living, missing in action, a Quilt of Valor is for you, the living. Today, we offer you comfort and healing. We offer you our deepest gratitude for your sacrifice. As you are wrapped in the warmth of your quilt, we ask you to accept a hug. It comes not only from us, but from all of our members. So, gentlemen, on behalf of the Quilts of Valor Foundation, we serve honor and comfort upon you. Though we may never know the depth of your sacrifice to protect and defend the United States of America, as a gesture of gratitude from a grateful nation, today we award you your Quilt of Valor. Thank you for your service and welcome home. Our first awardee is Imatkovich. Elle served in the United States Army 1968 to 1978. Purple Heart recipient. We thank you for your service in that process. Jeremy, this was kind of a surprise, was it not? So Jeremy said it, United States Army.